Millions of people's pocketbooks are in for a rude awakening, one way or another. I'll give you the details on that and what the president says. Also, a major hack occurs. Yeah, I'll give you the details on this cyber hack that just happened. I'll give you the details of that here in this video as well. Also, if you've been a fan of mine or if you've been watching my show for a while, you know that I used to be a very successful wrestler. And I was just featured on a local news station as one of the greatest wrestlers ever in my local area. And I'll show you what they said, and I'll show you the excerpt of the match that they showed of mine at the end of this video. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool and a little fun thing to show if you guys want to watch it. It's just a few minutes. So let's jump right in. Here we go. Okay, President Biden says he's not confident the Supreme Court will clear the student loan forgiveness plan that the Supreme Court just held arguments on. Here, the beginning opening arguments on it. Here's what President Biden had to say. He said, President Biden on Wednesday said he's not confident that the Supreme Court will decide to clear his student loan forgiveness plan while the majority conservative court weighs the case. Remember, there's 6 Republicans on the Supreme Court and 3 Democrats, even though they had previously upheld the student loan forgiveness twice. Now it's going to the full court. It was upheld by Amy Coney Barrett, who's a Republican justice and appointed by former President Donald Trump. President Biden said, quote, "I'm confident we're on the right side of the law. I'm not confident about the outcome of the decision yet, as it's basically in the hands of 9 people deciding the fate or the decision here, the monetary decision for over 40 million Americans." Yeah, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on Tuesday on challenges to his student loan plan, which would eliminate up to $10,000 to $20,000, depending on the person, in federal student loan debt for tens of millions of Americans. Biden and the White House has consistently expressed confidence in the legal authority for the president to implement the plan through executive action. And the White House has shied away from discussing any alternatives or plan B if the court strikes it down, saying, quote, "The plan we put forward in August is the plan that we have, which is also a plan that you heard the Solicitor General really defend in a strong and powerful way yesterday. And that's our plan, and we believe in our legal authority to get that done and get that implemented." It's a similar type of authority that Trump, former President Donald Trump, did with his executive order that guaranteed $300 per week or a total of $1,800 for 6 weeks, or $2,400 if states kicked in their extra $100 back in 2020 when Trump did his executive order in a somewhat similar style fashion that went out to millions of people who were on unemployment. Again, an executive order that helped some people and not all, of course, and was millions of dollars, or I'm sorry, billions of dollars. So yeah, of course, in either of these situations, for the people it's helping, it's an answer to their prayers, and for the people it's not helping, some people think it's unfair. Some people say, hey, help the American people, help the people struggling, help the people that can't, pay these things off. It's for low and middle class people. If you make over a certain income threshold, you don't qualify. And these are working class people. These are nurses. These are teachers. These are, people. A lot of these people are people that maybe went to college and, didn't even get a degree. I actually went to college for actually only 1 semester, but I then chose to go the entrepreneur route. So, yeah, I mean, we know how expensive college is. It's very expensive. Yeah. On the other hand, some people hate the idea. Some people think that you should just pay your own bills and no help from the government. So, I mean, you guys can let me know your own thoughts here in the comment section. If you've been watching my channel, you know that there are also medical debt forgiveness that is actually going on here. I've talked about in previous videos. I'll try to link that video here to you at the end of this video, as long as I remember here. But there is actually some medical debt forgiveness going on here, billions of dollars worth actually. And Congress actually has a bill for medical debt forgiveness in Congress that has not passed yet. But there are as I said, some medical debt forgiveness that has happened on some state, city levels and on some private levels as well. Congress has a bill for it potentially on a nationwide level here as well that could happen. Other types of debt forgiveness could happen on a larger scale, especially if this student loan forgiveness happens. It kind of sets a precedent for more going forward. But you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. But the other thing here is that regardless of the Supreme Court of the United States SCOTUS decision, 25 million people will have to start repaying student loan debt one way or another here once the Supreme Court makes their decision. Because even with the $10,000 to $20,000, depending, it's the really low income people that are going to get the $20,000 based on how they qualify. The payments are going to start restarting here, depending on when the Supreme Court decision comes in. And student loan payments are expected to resume either 60 days after the Supreme Court issues a decision on the relief program or 60 days after June 30th, whichever comes first. That means repayment is either likely to start this summer or fall. The average monthly federal student loan payment for recent undergraduate degree recipients is $234 a month, and going to be going even higher here with interest rates going higher. That's not even for a 4-year degree, I believe. That's an undergraduate degree. I think they're saying a 2-year degree. This which really isn't even really a degree. People generally borrow more and have higher interest rates for graduate degrees, so even higher here. Therefore, their monthly payments are higher. Even so, just on that, $234 a year times 4, or I'm sorry, 234 times 12, that's almost $3,000 a year. But again, that's only for a 2-year degree, which is nothing. Average federal student loan payments for master degree holders are $570 a month, and that's like what you need just to even be a teacher nowadays. $570 a month times 12 is almost $7,000 a year. $7,000 a year. And remember here that this is the problem here. I still have this image. This guy here says, I'm 27 years old. I have $120,000 in debt from an undergraduate degree. He's been paying $970 a month for 5 years. This is how long he's been paying on the loan. And of the nearly $60,000 he's paid in that time, only $2,000 has gone towards his loan in principal. So basically about $58,000 has gone towards interest. This was back when, this is back from 2022 here. So, yeah, so think about that. And I ask again, how was this ever legal? So this is kind of this is why people have such a problem with student loans. He paid $60,000 and only $2,000 of that had gone towards the principal. Yeah. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here on that. Also, should other types of debt be canceled? Medical debts, credit card debts, mortgage debts, tax forgiveness debts. We have seen other types of debt like this here. I'll link you to the medical debt forgiveness video here at the end of this video. Also, U.S. Marshals hit with a major hack. Sensitive data compromised. You guys can let me know who you think did this. Here's the details on this. The United States Marshals Service says it was hit with a major security breach over a week ago, compromising systems that contained sensitive information. The U.S. Marshals Service spoke with Drew Wade in a statement to The Hill on Monday evening that the agency discovered the ransomware and data exfiltration event, added that it had affected a standalone system. He said that after the discovery, the Marshal Service disconnected the system and the Justice Department initiated a forensic investigation. So imagine how long that was there before they maybe knew about this. The affected system contains law enforcement sensitive information, including returns from legal process, administrative information, and personally identifiable information pertaining to subjects of USMS investigations, third parties, and certain USMS employees. Wade said of the breach, which was first reported by NBC News. Wow. Yeah, some crazy stuff going on here. Let me know your thoughts here on this. Who do you think's behind this? Also, if you've been watching my show for a while, you may have known that I was a wrestler back in high school, and I attribute the policies that I learned from wrestling to my success. It taught me the 3Ds: dedication, determination, and desire. It really taught me a lot of that. It taught me that you could be anything you want to in life, because I didn't start wrestling until I got cut from the basketball team. I didn't make it. I'm only 5'9", and I went home crying, and my brother said, "Good, now you could be a wrestler." My brother was a wrestler, and he was pretty damn good as well. And I said, "No." And eventually I started wrestling, and my first year I didn't win a single match on the varsity middle school team at that point, because the other guys had been wrestling for years and years and years. But the next year I applied myself, and I had a year under my belt, and I wrestled in the off season, and by my second year, I was 45-15. I won 45 matches and had 15 losses. I had 45 wins out of 60 matches. Then the next year was high school. You step into the big leagues, right? You're wrestling as a freshman against seniors. Yeah, so, and I'll let you see this video here that was featured on our local Fox News channel. Well, I was featured as one of the greatest wrestlers ever for our school and our local area. And, well, here's what they had to say about me. Check this out.
Another curveball finalist, Brian, Jim Mihalik, defeated some real heavy hitters on his way to the 119 final in 1998. One kid had one loss, another was an undefeated wrestler. He surprised a lot of people.
He did. Again, 5th place in the district, and that was still when they had the 5-man qualifier. Had a nice draw, and he seemed, they didn't know who he was there. So some of the information that local people knew about his wrestling, they hadn't seen yet. And he made it to the state finals and came up against a real good wrestler, Jesse Lang, who beat him 8-2, and who was a 2-time state champion from Medina Highland. The next year, Mihalik, who now everybody was watching, didn't have quite as good a year. Finished 3rd in the district, which was 2 places better than the previous year, but was hurt in the first round there and didn't place.
Yeah, was he? I think it was illness. I think he sort of had a tough tournament. If my sources are correct. Here we're going to look at a match from the Solon tournament his senior year. Something to watch for. He had a very unorthodox heel pick, which he did from an underhook, and even Coach Marilla said he would talk to Tony DiGiovanni, who said, "We coached our kids all week to stop it, and they couldn't stop it." But that's part of the surprise.
You can imagine the surprise of the out-of-towners.
Yeah, it's very unorthodox. It's a good one.
We're at 130 pounds, probably the toughest weight class in this tournament, top to bottom. You're looking at Jeff Dunphy, the number 3 seed from Ravenna, senior. He was 29-11 last year and a runner-up here at Solon. And he's up against Jimmy Mihalik, the senior from Twinsburg, state runner-up last year, a 30-5 record, and the number 1 seed.
This should be an excellent match, Brian.
These are fine wrestlers. To tell you the quality of this weight class, Trevor Cost, who won at this weight class last year from Solon, wrestling in the 3rd and 4th place bout. In fact, in the 5th and 6th place bout tonight.
Mihalik with a quick takedown.
They met 2 years ago, Dunphy and Mihalik. with Mahalik winning by a single point. But right now he leads 4-0, just 34 seconds into the bout. Mahalik lets him go immediately. He was a 119 last year. He provides an interesting perspective on the new weight rules. Boy, he looks tough.
He does look tough. Quick movement, good technique. He looks sharp.
Another takedown for a 6-1 lead, and then the escape to make it 6-2. The new weight rules say that you have to wrestle at least half the bouts that you wrestle in the season at the weight that you certify. Mahalik said, I think I can make 125, but he says, I can't make it for half my matches this year. In a way, maybe it's better. He looks very strong at 130.
He looks real strong. Some kids do better when they stay up a weight class.
He's got takedown and he's got back points. No back points. But the takedown should make it 8-2, though.
He still has the cradle locked up. There's his 2 count.
Half minute to go here.
I'm sure he's trying to rack up a lot of points because Dunphy's going to want to be on top.
And there's the stalemate. So it should be 2 for the takedown and 2 for the near fall. That should make it 10-2, though the scoreboard has it 8-2. And the first period ends 10-2 by our target, with Mahalik in the lead. We're down to 45 seconds here in the third period. Dunphy started the period in the top position, and he remains in the top position, but he also remains 7 points down, trailing 10-3 right now, after a second period in which he got the only point on an escape. But the huge 10-2 advantage that Mahalik developed in the first period is held up well.
Mahalik looked really good on his feet, and that was his strategy, to score a lot of points and then get in this position, not make any mistakes in the third period. He's doing just that.
And the last few seconds here, and a stalemate.
Mahalik won this match in the first period.
It was 10-2 at the end of one period, and after 4 additional minutes of wrestling, it ended up 10-3. With state runner-up Jimmy Mahaley, the senior from Twinsburg High School, capturing his second Solon championship here at 130 pounds.
Yeah, so a proud moment there for me. Anytime anybody ever asks me about, my life or my success or, where I get my drive from, I always say it all started from wrestling. And I wrestle with my son, Julian. Now he loves it already. He'll be turning 5 here at on April 27th. But it's too early for him. There are kids that already start wrestling at 4 and 5, but I don't want to get him in it quite yet. But the interesting story about that kid I wrestled there is he actually beat me at the end of a tournament my second year in wrestling. And I always wanted to come back and beat him. And you could see I beat him pretty handily there, and it was on TV. And it's still on TV today, 20 years later. And that kid was really good. He made it to the state tournament as well. And you heard them say that tournament or that weight class that I was in was the toughest weight class of the entire tournament. And the kid who won that tournament last year only made it to the 5th and 6th place match. Didn't even make it to the finals match. So it gives you an idea of how tough a weight class it was there for us. But the moral of the story is that you, anybody I'm talking to here, me, you, anybody, can be anything you want to in life. I went from a person who was cut from the basketball team to becoming a wrestling champion just by applying yourself the 3 Ds in life: dedication, determination, and desire. And then I went on to, and my dad worked at a grocery store his whole life, and I literally created all sorts of things. I created the largest limo and bus company in the state of Ohio. I sold it back in 2012. I created this YouTube channel literally from nothing, and I've created over 3,000 videos, over 400,000 subscribers, and we're coming up on 200 million views. The interesting thing is we actually have way more views than like channels that have millions of subscribers. The algorithm just does not push me out to any new viewers right now, and hasn't for a while. That's why I'm trying to kind of change up my channel here a little bit, trying to cover some new topics so that the YouTube algorithm will actually try to push me out to some new viewers, because the algorithm just does not push me up to any new subscribers here. So, but yeah, I wanted to show you that if you've been a long time watcher of my channel, you've heard me talk about wrestling maybe, and I wanted to show you that because it was literally just featured on Fox News here on our local channel. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I'll keep you up to date here. That's a little proud moment here for me, and yeah, so thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos, and I'll keep you up to date here. Here's some videos you can watch next. Here is a big update video about Social Security, SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, and Medicare, pretty much everything in this video. And here is another video about what Putin said, or what Russia said on their TV about nuking the United States. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you. I consider you part of my family, and I will see you guys in the next video.